welcome to No Spin. I'm Nidhi Razdan. As we get closer to the Gujarat Assembly polls later this year, doesn't it seem that the war of words between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP is just getting more shrill and more nasty? Well, it's about to get worse. Both sides have been accusing each other of corruption. Now the AAP is accusing Delhi's LG of money laundering of 1,400 crores, while the BJP says the AAP is not giving any convincing answers to the so-called liquor scam in which Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is directly in the line of fire. Today, Manish Sisodia's bank lockers were searched by the CBI, after which he came out and said he had got a clean chit from the central agency. The political confrontation has stepped up in recent months as the AAP tries to become the BJP's main challenger in Mr. Modi's home turf of Gujarat. The AAP is said to be making some dents in urban centres, which is unsettling the BJP. But it's clear this is a fierce contest, and it's not just about Gujarat. The real prize is 2024, where the AAP has already made it about Modi versus Kejriwal. Joining us on the program tonight, Akshay Marathe, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Mr. Vijay Jolly from the BJP is with us, Abhishek Dutt from the Congress Party, and our two analysts this evening, Swati Chaturvedi and Manisha Priyam. Thank you very much to everyone for joining us today. Let me take this actually to you first, Swati Chaturvedi. What is, the larger context of this confrontation that we're seeing between these two sides? More than just Gujarat, isn't it?
It's much more than Gujarat, Nidhi. It's basically currently the entire opposition is kind of trying to figure out who is going to be the contender to take on Modi. All options are open because we've seen the Congress collapse spectacularly. Earlier it was, considered that the Congress would be the central fulcrum of kind of opposition unity. But with the, with the kind of slow decline that we see in the Congress, it's imploding very slowly, but it's giving a lot of fanciers like KCR, like Arvind Kejriwal, like Mamata Banerjee, a shot at what they think could be a direct contest with Mr. Modi for 2024. So this is all positioning. And AAP, if you notice, is wherever the Congress, it's been a bipolar contest between the Congress and BJP, the AAP has simply gone and interrupted the Congress's lunch for them. They hoover up all the votes and become the alternative not to the BJP but to the Congress in most states like Delhi or even Punjab.
Right. So, Mr. Vijay Jolly, is it that the BJP feels a little unsettled by the Aam Aadmi Party? Is that what this ugly tutu meme is about at the end of the day? Is the AAP making the BJP a little nervous, starting with Gujarat and then possibly elsewhere?
You see, there is no reason or logic to even think or dream of that the BJP is panic. There is no Operation Lotus. Of course, there is Operation Jhadu all around. And that is only with the intention of diverting public attention, making false allegations. To save themselves is the normal practice of the Aam Aadmi Party leader. They were trounced resoundingly in UP elections, in Uttarakhand, in Goa, in Manipur. Of course, they won in Punjab due to the infighting of the Congress Party. For that, BJP is not to be held responsible. Today, the onus of proving that they are not guilty, they are not corrupt, they are not tainted, is certainly on the Aam Aadmi Party leadership, because it is the CBI which is probing the matter on the recommendation of the Lieutenant Governor. And the same Lieutenant Governor, which till the other day was totally pure, there were no allegations against him in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, but only happened on 27th of August 2022 in the Delhi Assembly. Since the same Lieutenant Governor, Mr. V.K. Saxena, had recommended a CBI inquiry based on the constitutional report of the Chief Secretary of the Delhi government,
but
who
Mr.
saw...
Jolly, the point is, as you're well aware, the credibility of central agencies right now is at an all-time low. And the general feeling is you guys, go after the opposition when, you feel a little threatened by them. Or you want to do, you want to pressure them. That's what the opposition says.
Nidhi, my only humble submission to the opposition party leaders as well as to the ruling party leaders, to which I certainly belong, these constitutional institutions like CBI, like ED, like income tax, or even the judiciary, Our constitutional authorities don't cast aspirations on their working. They are doing the duty, and I salute them for the impartial probe.
Bilkul, absolutely impartial. Let me ask Akshay Marathe of the Aam Aadmi Party though about this, that this whole allegation against the Delhi LG has been thrown into the mix, Akshay Marathe, but where is the evidence? What is the proof that you're putting forth about this so-called 1400 crore scam? It's quite a serious allegation.
Absolutely, Nidhi. For the record, I want to correct Mr. Vijay Jolly when he says that this is the first time that we are raking up these allegations against the present LG. The fact is, this LG, Mr. VK Saxena, has just been appointed a few months ago. We have had confrontations with previous LGs also, whether it was Anil Baijal or Majid Jung, and not once did any Aam Aadmi Party leader say that any of those had any corruption charges against them. In the case of Mr. VK Saxena, who is the new LG of Delhi, it is not the Aam Aadmi Party which is raising these allegations. It is the head cashier of the Khadi Gram Udyog, of which Mr. Saxena used to be the chairperson until recently. In the 2016 demonetization phase, the post-2016 demonetization phase, Mr. Saxena allegedly forced the cashier of the Khadi Gram Udyog to change his old 1400 crore rupee notes to new ones. This is not our allegation. We are simply saying that just like the LG, the BJP, the CBI has been asking Aam Aadmi Party, aap log probe se darte kyun? Why are you scared of a probe? We are also saying the same thing. Why is the LG scared of a probe? Let the CBI, which acts on his behest against Aam Aadmi Party, let the CBI probe the LG, probe the BJP's LG, and let the allegation come to fruition. Let's see what happens. If he's not corrupt, then the probe will reveal that. Isn't that the same courtesy that the BJP was offering to the Aam Aadmi Party?
Mr. Jolly has a quick response before I take this to the rest of the panel.
The present Lieutenant Governor occupies a constitutional position. He is not a BJP man, and he was appointed on 25th October 2015, and demonetization happened on 8th November 2016. Why the Aam Aadmi Party slept for the last more than 6 years? It is only after the Lieutenant Governor saw red in their liquor policy.
This is a new Lieutenant Governor, sir. This is
liquor shops in all parts of the capital with the great incentives to the liquor lobby to the tune of 144
VK Saxena was appointed in this year of 2022. That is why Aam Aadmi Party is talking about it today.
Okay, 1 second. I'm trying to understand the bigger political messaging from this confrontation. Manisha Priyam, is it that Arvind Kejriwal is seriously pitching himself in a national role? Is that a pipe dream? Is that realistic? And is he going to keep baiting Mr. Modi between now and 2024?
So, the fact is that the Aam Aadmi Party has come back to power in Delhi twice over. It has won the state of Punjab in a state election. And it is, for example, I don't know what's happening in Gujarat, but we keep hearing these things, right? Now, this makes for the Aam Aadmi Party's regional footprints, definitely there's news about it. Does it look like that these three states together will make a national picture? Not at the moment. Does it look like a fact that the Aam Aadmi Party can take on the large Hindi heartland states with their characteristic rural and caste-based population? Not at the moment. Does it look like a reality that the BJP's won over the state of Uttar Pradesh on its own? The answer is yes. Has the BJP been in power in the Hindi heartland states? Many of them, yes. In Bihar, it's the only state where in the Hindi heartland, I would say, or the cow belt as it's often been called, that's the only place where it's not tested waters. So definitely the Aam Aadmi Party at this point of time is not a national contender. It's an important political party. So I would say sometimes I'm really surprised as to why the BJP, if it were to take Mr. Kejriwal's government seriously, why it should go hammer and tongs after the entire government. Isn't it just elevating the whole picture to a level where it does not exist in reality? Now, as far as Delhi is concerned, let me honestly tell you that I couldn't understand that in a Delhi where Mr. Modi and under him, they swept all the Lok Sabha seats. And yet when you had the state assembly elections, people chose Arvind Kejriwal. The MCD elections, now by postponing them, you did everything about, getting the MCDs together. You did all of that. We can't see the MCD elections anywhere near the corner. So I cannot understand why for a BJP, which is a larger national political party, this should be such an important political matter. And
Actually,
I'm talking
that's
about
a
this.
very interesting point, because it's probably because I guess the BJP takes every election from a municipal election to a Lok Sabha election, as a do or die battle. And I want to ask Swati about that as well in just a moment. But let me get the Congress in, because Abhishek, the question is that how is the Congress looking at all of this? Is the AAP slowly trying to occupy your space? Whether it's in Delhi, it's already doing that. Whether it's in Gujarat now, are you worried about that?
Nidhi, in politics, it is always good to take all your competitors seriously. But when you look at Lok Sabha overall, out of 543 seats, Aam Aadmi Party is in direct competition on 20 seats. 13 in Punjab, 7 in Delhi. They contested in Uttarakhand. The results are in front of you. They went to Goa. They managed 5% vote share. And they went to UP, where they were less than Nota. Why all this has started in the last 2 months, or maybe 2 weeks, sorry. After the liquor scam has come out, a new narrative is trying to be built up just to cover up for the major scam. Whenever you speak to Aam Aadmi Party talking about the Delhi liquor scam, they talk about the LG. If the LG is wrong, that's fine. But you have to come forward and answer to all the questions which are being raised. Did you change the policy for a vested interest? Was this policy different in the original excise policy which the excise committee had recommended it to you? Didn't you waive off 40 crore rupees? There are a lot of questions that Aam Aadmi Party need to answer. But for every question you ask them, they say LG is corrupt. Yes, if the LG is corrupt, there should be inquiry against the LG. Just to build up a narrative, looking at the current Delhi liquor scam, it is very evident that Mr. Sisodia will be called by the CBI very soon. I fail to understand the logic.
Can I respond?
Who informs Mr. Kejriwal that the CBI is coming to check Manish Sisodia's locker? Obviously, when they know the CBI is coming to check their locker, nothing will be available. The entire country knew there will be a raid on Manish Sisodia at his house. Mr. Kejriwal was announcing it time and again. How do you expect anything to be there? Let there be a fair investigation. Yes, we know BJP tries to use CBI and ED as a tool to manage a lot of opposition. But in this excise policy, we've been questioning this from day one. And I'll tell you last thing on your channel. On 13th February, Delhi Pradesh Congress Committee wrote a letter to Anna Hazare ji, requesting him to come forward and tell Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. But Mr. Anna Hazare ji is very selectively questioning Mr. Kejriwal on his policies. He doesn't speak when there are farmers' crisis. He doesn't speak when there is low Lokpal in Delhi. There's no Lokpal in the center. But yes, at this time, he comes forward and support the Bharatiya Janata Party. So all this needs to be checked. And the main issue of Delhi excise liquor scam should not get deviated.
You're saying they're being evasive. They're being evasive. But Akshay, before I come to you, because I will let you answer that, but Swati Chaturvedi, the point that Manisha Priyam made, which was very interesting, why is the BJP elevating Arvind Kejriwal and AAP then to that level where you're giving the AAP this kind of national importance? Should they be doing that if they're not quite yet a national party? Are they helping him?
Well, Nidhi, the BJP, the BJP of Modi and Shah is obsessed. It is an obsessive election winning machine. The very fact that if you see all the responses, we saw Mamata Banerjee during the West Bengal elections get very aggressive with the BJP when it came to corruption. But Arvind Kejriwal has very smartly dealt with the BJP as an opposition. You finally got Mr. Modi acknowledging him and talking about Revdi politics. You've got, the enforcement agencies going for an overkill. I mean, I like to differ with Mr. Jolly. First of all, the investigative agencies are not constitutional authorities. The judiciary is something completely different. But we know that this enforcement directorate has gone after every single opposition party. It's almost like the biggest ally that the BJP currently has. And when the Congress says, it's a very adult response that when they attack us and raid us, it's vendetta politics. When they do that to Arvind Kejriwal, it's not. It's it's a very adult response, because this opposition has been pushed around by the government using every single enforcement agency there is. But Arvind Kejriwal is the only one who's turned around and tried to, give it a smart political response. He tried to go national with the fact that, they were going after the Delhi government on this alleged liquor scam. So I think the BJP feels that they need to take on and attack Kejriwal, who so far also had very intelligently sidestepped them. When it comes to, questions like Bilkis Bano or the Delhi riots, the AAP doesn't have a coherent narrative. So now the BJP is looking at them and saying that, you know, why take a chance?
Yeah. And so I want to ask Akshay Marathi then that how do you look at Anna Hazare's letter to Kejriwal today? You seem to be intoxicated by power, he says. This was his mentor. What do you think?
Maybe a lot has been said about why the BJP takes AAP seriously. I'll come to the Anna Hazare question also. But I think it's important to understand that Aam Aadmi Party today is the only party which has a credible, honest leadership with a proof of concept when it comes to education and healthcare. And these are two issues that I think people in India have started to imagine as those issues which will elevate their lives. It will make them seek a better life for themselves, better employment, better lifestyle. And the people see that Arvind Kejriwal is that leader who can deliver these things to them. So I'll give you an example. In Delhi, when we fought the first election, we had no organization. But the ideas of free Bijli and free Pani caught on to such an extent that we won 28 seats in our first election. In Punjab, people might say anything, but it's not as if the Aam Aadmi Party has had an organization in Punjab for many, many years. It is the fact that when an idea catches on in people's minds, no power can stop it from taking root. And that's what the BJP is worried about, that Aam Aadmi Party is an idea which has taken root in the minds of the people of India, and they want to nip it in the bud. So if you look at the action against Aam Aadmi Party, it's against the health minister, Mr. Satyendra Jain. It's against the education minister, Mr. Manish Sisodia. They want to malign the credibility of the party and Arvind Kejriwal ji on these two issues. That is why the BJP is going after these two leaders. When it comes to the Congress, I just want to say that the people can see that you are siding with the BJP. I don't know how they will appreciate your, palliness with the BJP on this issue.
And on Anna
the question
Hazare?
of Anna Hazare,
Can I do something?
I'm coming to that. I want to keep it short, Nidhi. I'm coming to Anna Hazare ji. In 2015, when we fought the Delhi election, Anna Hazare ji wrote a similar letter to Mr. Kejriwal. In 2020, he wrote a similar letter to Mr. Kejriwal. But the people of Delhi and the people of India don't necessarily associate what Mr. Hazare ji says with the reality of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. The people of India, the people of Delhi have repeatedly seen that Mr. Kejriwal is a leader who delivers, and the BJP is the only party who takes these attacks from Mr. Hazare seriously against Mr. Kejriwal, and they can continue to do so. We have no issue with that.
Mr. Jolly, you wanted to come in?
Yes, you see, Anna Hazare has been the fatherly figure of the Aam Aadmi Party. And when today he drops a letter bomb on the Aam Aadmi Party and its leader Arvind Kejriwal, reminding him of his book titled Savraj, in which he was stated that the liquor licenses are given on the recommendation of the politicians in lieu of bribes. It causes huge social problems and ruins family life. This is the Kejriwal himself have stated. And further, Kejriwal had suggested in his book to open a liquor shop, license should be given only when Gran Sabha gives it approval, with 90% of the women present voting in its favor, and women present in the Gran Sabhas can also get liquor licenses cancelled by simple majority. My question is, why the respectable, honorable Chief Minister of Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal, did not follow his own dictum in Delhi before announcing his own liquor policy?
Let me ask Manisha Priyam. Yeah, I'll let you do that. Just give me a sec, Akshay. That Manisha Priyam, the point is, does all of this hurt AAP at all? This whole liquor policy stuff. We had Ashutosh here the other day who thinks it's not. That all of this is actually strengthening the AAP ahead of Gujarat. What do you think?
On the ground, let me tell you that the politics of deliveries of the Aam Aadmi Party is taken very seriously by their voters. And I do believe that, the politics of deliveries has changed the scenario in Delhi quite a bit. And their voters, talk very highly of the schools. I haven't seen I must admit, I haven't seen the Mohalla clinics as much. But as far as schools, etc. is concerned, now the BJP, which is a serious contender to, rather than contending them on the politics of the MCDs with them, out of power through the civic authorities, rather than putting their alternative mechanism in place. Now this, it's a wordy duel Now, on the ground, there may be things which are wrong. I don't want to get into what the CBI is going to say or not say. But for the BJP as a political party, now to take the stance of the CBI and say this is how we will play our politics does not help them vote. It helps them win a television debate.
Sorry about the audio. I think we're having some bandwidth issues, Manisha Priya. I'm sorry, we'll just come back to you. But I get what you're saying. Swati, do you agree with that? That the loyal AAP voters will swear by them, or does this tarnish some of the Teflon image?
Well, clearly it does, Nidhi, but the point here is that, at least the AAP has what they call the Delhi model to try and go national. So what is happening in Gujarat is that Kejriwal goes there repeatedly and talks about the Delhi model versus the much wanted Mr. Modi's Gujarat model. And at least there is a conversation happening, there is something to talk about, because the BJP is attacking the opposition on dynasty and corruption. Now the AAP, at least currently, cannot be attacked on dynasty politics, so they're going very hot and heavy on the corruption, because in Gujarat the BJP now has been in power for over 30 years. So and the Congress does have a cadre in Gujarat, but there is no leadership. So the AAP is at least currently by the BJP being seen as a challenger.
Absolutely. Abhishek Dutt, yes, go ahead.
Just 3 points. What Akshay Maratha from the Aam Aadmi Party has said. First of all, 2013-2015 election of Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi was on Swaraj Bill and Lokpal. I very well remember Arvind Kejriwal ji giving a interview with NDTV, and I will quote you. He said कि मैं मुख्यमंत्री बनने नहीं आया था, मैं तो स्वराज बिल के लिए आया था, और अगर स्वराज बिल पास नहीं होता तो ऐसे 100 मुख्यमंत्री कुर्बान हैं, unquote. Now the chief minister of Delhi for the third time never talks about Swaraj bill, never talks about Lokpal and right to recall. Let's come back to the health model of Delhi. I filed an RTI asking the expenditure incurred by Arvind Kejriwal ji and Manish Sisodia ji on their medical reimbursement in Delhi over the last 5 years. I'm quoting you on your channel. Approximately 50 lakh rupees on private hospitals has been spent by both Arvind Kejriwal ji and Manish Sisodia ji together. When you talk about education, I will agree on your channel. They have rebuilt schools in Delhi. They were supposed to open up 500 new schools. Not even a single new school has been opened. They were supposed to open 20 colleges. They are very good in advertisement by spending 500 crore rupees. A party that started with Lokpal has come to freebie politics. At the same time, Ghar Ghar Nal has been converted into every gully there is a liquor shop. Liquor shop was not part of the election manifesto. What was the election manifesto? Can we discuss why the people have
so let Akshay Marathe answer those. I'll give him the last word. Akshay, go ahead.
My last point, Swati.
Quickly.
Wherever they go, if they are actual opposition to Bharatiya Janata Party, why don't they ally with the main opposition party? You go to Uttarakhand, you get 5% vote share and Congress loses to BJP. You divide all the anti-incumbency vote, which helps the Bharatiya Janata Party. And today, BJP is helping AAP to create a narrative so that all the anti-incumbency vote gets divided and Bharatiya Janata Party wins. And it's suiting you. And it's suiting them.
Isn't that what the Congress is doing in Bengal with the left as well? I mean, you have one policy in the state and one policy at the national level. You can't just blame AAP for it, no?
Nidhi, 1 second. Congress party has got an organization in the entire country. I want to ask you, let's go by every state Aam Aadmi Party is fighting election. Aam Aadmi Party
okay, let him answer though, because I just have a minute left. Akshay, go ahead.
Nidhi, first of all, in the last 27 years, the Congress has not been able to dislodge the BJP in Gujarat. So I want to know, how are they still retaining the tag of opposition, and under what credibility can they tell Aam Aadmi Party
we were the closest party you contested last time.
That I did not interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you.
Okay.
So I want to say that it's now the Aam Aadmi Party's turn to challenge the BJP, and the people of Gujarat will decide whether it's the Congress or the Aam Aadmi Party. So let that happen. Let the people decide if they want to vote for AAP or Congress. Now, when it comes to what he was talking about, AAP's education and health model, I want to say on a slightly lighter note that at a time in India the discourse has gotten so bad, my heart is warm that both the Congress and the BJP are forced to talk on education and healthcare, and that is the victory of Arvind Kejriwal's politics. The people of India are watching today that this is the future we want, where parties are talking about education,
I am completely out of time, but I think in the next few months we're going to see a lot of debate on the so-called AAP model. of governance, whether it's in Delhi and Punjab. I think Swati and Manisha would agree that there will be a lot of debate on this, the merits of it and of course the politics of it. Thanks very much to all of you for joining us. See you again tomorrow night. Goodbye.